Hello Abdul, it's good to have you here. Hi Piyush. Hello Shivangi, thank you so much for joining in. Hello Piyush, hi. Hi Purvi, how are you? Hi Fayaz, good to have you here. Hello Nikita. Hi Ritika. Great. It's so great to see all of you again. Welcome to our live and hi Vipul. Hello Joy. Great to have you here. Hi Govind. I'm fine, Govind. Thank you so much for asking. I hope you're doing well too. Um, Hello, Babita. Great. So it's like fantastic. I'm so happy to be here with another live, and today it's going to be a very interesting live. Okay, I you can't hear me properly, is it? One second. Let me see. Is it better? Okay. So again, voice is gone. Can't hear me. Wait, hang on. Why is that happening? Let me. All right. Can you all hear me now? Just say yeah, yes, if you can. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Shiza. Hi, Bhavna. Hello, Nikita. So I said hello to all of you, and I'm sorry you couldn't hear me initially. Some glitch. Now I think you're sorted. Thank you so much, Piyush. All right, Nandini. Nandini, I think I'm audible now, right? Hi, Meghna. Yes, fantastic. Thank you, Purvi. All right, thanks. Thanks so much, all of you. And so, really happy to have you here. And today it's a very relevant topic that we're going to talk about. And it's very often that our friends, our learners, people around us are always asking us this question. And we're going to have Mr. Vikram Bajaj with us, the managing director of Inlingua International School of Languages, and he's going to address many of the questions. We're going to take on new questions. There's certain questions that we already have, which our learners keep asking us. So please stay till the end because he's going to answer all your questions throughout. We're going to talk to him, and then you can also keep posting your questions in the comments, and we'll take it up, one by one. Hi, Mamta. Thank you so much for joining in. It's good to have you here. Hello, Shivam. So, I was telling you about Vikram. Yes, he's the managing director of Inlingua International School of Languages. He's also headed many other Amrit Group companies and, Uncle Chips Limited company as well. He's also been on the board of Inlingua International and in Lingua itself, we've been in the language teaching for nearly 30 years. And we have a headquarters in Bern, Switzerland. And, we've been teaching English for 50 odd years and with a unique method which we call the in-lingua method. So soon Vikram is going to join us. And, so you think of your questions. The topic for today is going to be how better English can actually make a difference to your lives. So that's what it's going to be about. I have, all right. I'm just going. I have a video request. I'm just going to, we'll later after Vikram joins in, we'll also have other people. We'll also take you guys on if you want to come on the live and ask your own questions. Ask Vikram directly. All right. And okay, fine. I have Vikram right here. Just give me a second, please. We have Vikram joining us now. So. Um,
Hi, ma'am.
Hi. So, hi, how are you? So, how are you? Great, great to have you here. We are just waiting. Today, Vikram is going to, a managing director will be answering all the questions, whatever you have. So, I hope you're thinking of your questions, park them. And I will take you later. I'll just have Vikram joining in, but do stay with us and join in later, okay? What's your name? Bilal,
Okay.
is it?
My name is Bilal Sawal.
All right. Because I want Vikram first.
I have many questions and I want to ask. That's why I have come here to live.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm so happy that you're here. But I want Vikram to answer those for you because he'll give you another different, fantastic, perspective towards it. So be there. Put in your request again. I'll have Vikram joining in, and then I take the request again. But you'll have to leave this now so that I can take him on, and then you come back again.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Well,
Sure.
thank you for talking. Joining us right here. Yeah. Hi, Vikram. Welcome. Good afternoon. How are
Hi,
you?
good afternoon. Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for asking. It's so good to have you here. We already have so many questions that are here. People want to join and ask you questions themselves. So mostly
Wonderful.
so we have most often learners are always asking us this question: how better English can make a difference to their lives. Okay, and so the first thing that comes to mind, and what they ask us really is that if you could tell us that Hindi being our mother tongue, why is it so important for us to communicate in English?
Right. That's a very good question, honestly, that in countries around the world, uh, work gets done in the mother tongue all the time. So why is it different in India? I think the answer lies in the fact that we have so many mother tongues. You have Hindi in the north, you have Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam in the south, and then you have Bengali, Gujarati. In fact, India has got perhaps the largest number of languages which are spoken anywhere in any country. And while, if for instance, if Uttar Pradesh was a country, then maybe Hindi could have been enough to get by in every sphere of life. But we are a very diverse country with so many mother tongues. And because of our history under the British, English became the link language which everybody spoke and which connects all the parts of India together. And I think that is where the importance of English arose and is still there, because what do you replace it with? When you have to communicate with other Indians, how else do you do it? And I think that is central to the importance that English has in our lives. The good part, the good news is that the world is also getting connected. And luckily for us, English is the bridge language across the world. Whether it's in Europe, whether it's in the Americas, without English, you cannot function in an international environment. So the good news is that yes, it seems a little difficult to try and learn a second language just to get by in your own country. But then if you do, the big advantage is that you're ready for the world.
Actually, Vikram, that's right. Basically, it is the universal language. Of course, I really agree with you when you say it connects us within our country, and also, the benefit is that outside as well with other countries because it's actually the most spoken language. So it does kind of make us a global citizen. That's a very, very valid point that you put across. Okay, so I'll go on to the second question, Vikram. Learners are asking us, how does learning English boost one employment opportunities? In fact, I have this in another way as well. So, one person is asking us कि क्या guarantee है कि अगर मैं English classes join करूँगी तो English बोल सकूँगी और मुझे उससे job भी मिलेगा. So, it's like, how do I boost my employment opportunities in
It's a very important question. Let me take both parts of it. The first part of it is why does it help with employment opportunities? Now, clearly, there are two reasons. One, of course, is some jobs require you to know English, whether it's customer facing jobs, perhaps call center jobs, maybe that in tourism or in hotels, in restaurants, where the direct need for engaging with the customer in English appears. Clearly, there it is a key skill without which you will not get employment. But then English has a very important role beyond that, even in those employment spheres where you don't really need English to be able to do the work. For instance, you could be a driver, you could be perhaps somebody who works in a salon, perhaps you're an engineer, perhaps. So these are skills where there is a different, perhaps things that you have to learn for the job. And it should ideally be enough that you know that skill, whether it's hair cutting or whether it's driving a car, etc. But when it comes to employment, what the employer is seeking is someone who is better than average, who is not just capable of driving, perhaps, but can also talk to the customer, follow directions, etc. In a hair salon, if your customer is going to speak in English, then it's not just enough that you know how to cut hair. You have to understand and be able to communicate with that customer what style they want, what length they want, what color they want, and so on. So in almost every aspect of employment, the need for communication exists. And even in non-customer interfacing jobs, whether you are, let's say, a technician in a company or an engineer, you still have to interact with other colleagues. You have reports to write. You have perhaps, internal meetings in which you have to present an idea. And then again, what happens? More often than not, especially in large multinational companies or even Indian companies of any size, the language which is used is English. So one way or another, we are unable to fight this, perhaps some people think of it as a curse, but I think it's a boon that we have to do. We have to learn English in order to get ahead with employment. As to the other question, इन्होंने क्या पूछा कि मैं क्या गारंटी है कि मैं इंग्लिश सीख पाऊंगी और क्या उसके बाद मेरे को जॉब मिलेगी, राइट? देखिए, गारंटी किसी भी चीज की लेना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है. अगर आप मेहनत करेंगे तो आप कोई भी चीज हासिल कर सकते हैं, और अगर आप सोचें कि आप बैठे रहें और आपके ऊपर वो चीज बस आके आपके गोदी में आ जाए, वो कभी भी संभव नहीं है. लेकिन ये एक फैक्ट है कि कोई भी लैंग्वेज सीखी जा सकती है. इवन इंग्लिश इज एन लैंग्वेज दैट यू कैन लर्न इफ यू डू इट राइट. अगर आप सही जगह हैं तो आप बहुत जल्दी सीख सकते हैं, अच्छे से सीख सकते हैं. आपको अगर सही एनवायरनमेंट मिलता है जिसमें आप बोलकर एक दूसरे से बातचीत कर कर सीखते हैं, तो वो आपके लिए एक लाइफ लॉन्ग स्किल बन के रह जाता है. तो जरूर सीखी जा सकती है अंग्रेजी, और गारंटी तो जॉब की आज कोई भी नहीं दे सकता क्योंकि मार्केट है, इकोनॉमी है, अप डाउन जाती है. लेकिन आप यूं सोचिए कि जब जॉब्स कम हैं और लोग ज्यादा, जब एप्लीकेंट्स ज्यादा होते हैं एक पोजीशन के लिए, और सबके पास वही डिग्री है, सबके पास वही स्किल है, सब जानते हैं कि वो टेक्निकल बात क्या है, तो फर्क किस चीज से पड़ता? फर्क पड़ता है कम्युनिकेशन से, इंग्लिश से, इंटरव्यू में आपने किस तरह से अपने को पेश किया उससे. और आपको जरूरी नहीं है कि अंग्रेजी बहुत ही बढ़िया बोलने की जरूरत है. आप अगर 100 जने हैं और उनमें से आप 90 से बेटर इंग्लिश बोल सकते हैं, तो शायद जॉब आपको मिल सकती है. तो एक रिलेटिव इंपॉर्टेंस भी है इंग्लिश की, और इसलिए मैं कहूंगा कि चाहे गारंटी ना भी हो अंग्रेजी सीखने से, जॉब की सहूलियत बहुत है, और ये एक बहुत अहम स्किल बन के रह गया.
सो विक्रम, एक्चुअली आप जो कह रहे हैं इस बात से मैं भी बिल्कुल सहमत हूँ. एज तो मिलती है, एंड एक्चुअली आप जो कह रहे हैं वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि स्किल, बेसिक स्किल बहुतों के पास है. तो एक जो एज मिली, हमने अंग्रेजी सीखी, तो येस दैट्स ट्रू. गारंटी किसी चीज़ की नहीं, मेहनत करेंगे तो आगे डेफिनेटली बढ़ेंगे. सो दैट ब्रिंग्स अस टू अ नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. एंड जो नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन है वो एक तरह से इट सेज अगर हम इंग्लिश सीख रहे हैं तो क्या ये हमारे पर्सनालिटी को उभारेगा, क्या हमारी सेल्फ वर्थ और कॉन्फिडेंस को बढ़ाएगा? दैट्स द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इट टॉक्स अबाउट. डज इट हेल्प अस इन दैट?
ये भी बहुत अच्छा सवाल है. This is also a great question. I think the answer lies in the fact that self-confidence comes from within. That's the meaning of the word self-confidence. If you feel good about yourself, you will be more self-confident. And while everybody has a personality, I mean, there are so many young people who perhaps, for a Sangeet program in a wedding can hold the stage and become compeers and dance and maybe make jokes and all in their mother tongue. But the moment they are in an interview situation, their personality suddenly disappears. They are shy, they are withdrawn. So if we realize that the only missing link is this ability to speak well in the language, then one can easily see the connection that the moment you're able to communicate in English, your ability to interact with the world goes up, your confidence goes up, and then the internal personality that you have, whether it's a vibrant one or a loving one or whatever else it is, a confident one, comes out. You're not shy, you're not afraid. So it's basically getting rid of this fear that does the magic. Simply knowing English is not something that is related to a personality, but the ability to communicate in English uncovers the personality. So definitely it is a huge boost for confidence in our world today because how pervasive English has become.
Definitely. So yeah, that's right. So then what also a lot of other people are saying is that, in fact, I think you have kind of answered that when it says the question is that how will good English help us to get over my other competitors? So yes, I think where you said about the job or about personality bhi ubhar ke aa rahi hai because you're communicating better there. So what I would do is I'll also go to the next question. It says how will it help me to understand or participate in other aspects like maybe English movies देखना या songs सुनना. क्या ये भी important है अगर मैं English सीखूं और मैं ये चीज़ों में I can participate? Does it make sense for me to learn English?
I'm sorry, your voice was a little unclear, Mansi. Could you repeat that?
I'll repeat that. So it says, will I be able to understand? In fact, I'm going to club this question with another one. So one person says that my daughter lives abroad. And so if I learn English, abroad as in an English-speaking country, this person says Canada, I think. So can I travel abroad alone? मैं अगर मेरे को इंग्लिश आती है तो क्या मैं अकेले ट्रैवल कर सकती हूँ? क्या मैं मैनेज कर पाऊंगी? मैं मॉल्स में जा पाऊंगी? कैन आई बाय कॉफी फॉर माई सेल्फ मे बी? और वहाँ पे मैं लोगों से थोड़ा बहुत बोल पाऊंगी? That's what the question is. Will it get me by?
Right. No, absolutely. I think knowing English to even a basic level has a huge impact on your ability to deal with people around the world. The type of things and activities that the questioner is asking, being able to travel, being able to go to a restaurant and order food, perhaps to engage with strangers and ask for directions. These, if you know, are covered right at the very start of our courses, at the lowest level of our courses. So even a very basic knowledge of English equips one to be able to do all of these things. Of course, as a language, English is a lot to be learned, and there are many levels. As we do, in inlingua, we have several levels: level 1, 2, 3, and as you go from one level to the other, your ability to do more is enhanced, and then you can not just interact with people on a day-to-day basis for the everyday things. You can even perhaps take on a job or an assignment, be in a sales position, and as you go further up, you are able to interact in managerial situations. So it is a continuum, but the fact is that even a small amount of English, even a basic level of English, if spoken well with confidence, gets you really far. And in fact, in the world today, anybody who's able to do that immediately gets an advantage.
Yeah, you're right. It does. It has many advantages, definitely. This is a little offbeat question, but it's actually valid, and I think many people would have that in mind. So I'll go ahead and ask you this question. So this person says, my spouse speaks English very well, and since I feel awkward. I'm not very fluent. He feels awkward in introducing me to his colleagues. So. It'll be better if I learn English, and will it improve our relationship too? So there you go.
Very interesting question. Yeah, and unfortunately, because everybody prizes good English and the ability to communicate well in English, there is a bit of chauvinism behind being able to speak good English. And it's unfortunate, but it's true that in social settings, people sometimes look down on others who are not able to speak English well. Perhaps the questioner is alluding to that because why would the husband or the spouse be afraid of introducing them to the colleagues? Only because they don't want an assessment of their colleagues to the effect that the spouse does not speak English well and does not communicate English well. It's very unfortunate. I personally don't think it's a good thing. One should respect every language. And the fact that somebody does not speak English up to a level should not be a social kind of a social impediment, but it is. And I think you can't fight the system all the time. So why not simply learn and brush up your English and gain the confidence? And then, yes, you can meet anyone in the world with confidence, whether it's in a social setting, like in a party, whether it's in another social setting, perhaps where you go for PTA meetings in a school. A lot of parents feel very shy that what will the teachers think of me if I, or sometimes even the children are very embarrassed by the English that their parents speak. These are realities, unfortunate ones, but true. Of course, even if you're amongst friends, it happens. People can make fun of you. You may not find the right girlfriend or boyfriend, or your dating life gets a little skewed simply because of this inability to speak well in English. I think these are the bonus features. Of course, most people learn because of employment or because of academic careers. But yes, this is equally a good reason, and at least certainly a bonus if you learn English, that you're also socially more adept in our kind of society.
Yeah, so actually, yeah, that's right, Vikram. You know, so of course, I think again, when you say that every language should say, but yes, of course, just if it's taken just as a skill and just go ahead and learn it like a skill, I think yes, that will really benefit all of us. Now, you know, there are a lot of people who are giving, you know, asking us to join in and ask their own questions. But before I just one more thing I'd like to ask you. You know, we understand the importance of learning English. So, how does one actually go ahead and learn better English? You know, what do you suggest? What do you recommend?
Yeah. So I think, Mansi, the main skill within English that people are most afraid of exercising is the skill of speaking in a conversation. So speaking and listening, these are the two skills which most people find themselves a little afraid of, because these are live skills. It happens instantly. Like we are doing just now, you're speaking, I'm answering, you're questioning, I'm answering, I'm speaking, you're listening. It is a live interaction. With reading and writing, you can take your time. You know, you can take maybe an hour to read something that somebody else can read in a minute. But with speaking and listening, it's instantaneous. So these two skills are the key to a better English, ability to speak better English. So you must look for an environment where you get to practice speaking and listening in a live, interactive manner with other people. So it's not enough to just, you know, listen to videos or to films. It may help. It may help you sustain a level of competence, but it's not going to make it better. Similarly, I somehow feel that, you know, just speaking in front of a mirror has very limited benefits, because ultimately speaking and listening is all about interacting. So you must find an environment where you can practice the speaking and listening, and where there is someone who's able to help correct your errors in a non-judgmental way, in a sympathetic manner, so that you actually become better as you speak and listen. Now, clearly, this is a challenge. It's not always possible to find this environment. If you are able to do so, if you have friends or colleagues who are ready to do that for you, excellent, wonderful. You'll learn English in no time. But then when you can't find such an environment, that is when you need to look for an opportunity like a course, perhaps a course within Lingua or anywhere else. But be sure that it is one in which speaking and listening are practiced in a live fashion and not in a passive way. Like you're not just listening to a lecture from a teacher. You're actually talking amongst each other and being corrected in a sympathetic way.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. Yeah. Live interactions are very important because it's actually communication. So yes, I think what you said makes a lot of sense. All right, so I'm just now going to take up the first request for this person to join us. All right, so Bilal has been very patient and has been waiting to talk to you for so long. So he's just Bilal, you can join in. I've accepted your request. Hello, Bilal. You can
Hi,
ask.
Yes.
Bilal.
Hi, hi. Uh, First of all, hello to sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, I was asking that question that as I am a language learner, okay, I am currently studying foreign language. I'm studying a foreign language, and I want to understand that if English is like what to say in other country, like you are saying that learning English is a skill, okay. So, sir, is when I am learning a foreign language, I understand that a conversation is come from within. Communication is something that which help us to understand each other, culture or anything. Okay, so sir, I want to help sir that ki, if I am learning any language, how to improve my skill up to better understand, sir.
If I understand your question, you are asking me that when you learn a foreign language,
Yes, sir.
part of the purpose is to understand the culture of another
Yes, sir. Yes,
nation.
sir. Okay, sir.
And the question is, how should you? I'm a little unclear as to what your
Okay, sir.
exact question is.
Question is that how to improve their understanding for a better understanding, sir.
I think it's, it is one of the aspects of learning a
As a,
language that.
as a English is also a challenging skill. Learning English is also a challenging skill rather than foreign language. Because English is
Mhm.
something in India is where is somehow people know or somehow people don't know to
Mhm.
speak or with confidence. Like
Mhm.
in
No, you're good. You have the confidence to come live on Instagram and ask a question. That shows that you're good. You are able to actually articulate your thoughts, and I think that's
thank
wonderful.
you, sir.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not 100% sure I understand the question you had in mind, but perhaps what you're asking is that uh, how to learn in a way that also teaches you the culture of the people who speak that language.
Yes, sir. That's
And
the
if that,
question, sir.
that's the question. So, that is certainly something that comes very naturally when you're learning other foreign languages like French, German, and Spanish, because typically these are languages, of course, each of these are spoken in many, many countries around the world, but typically they are restricted to a region. So, French, for instance, is very closely connected to the culture in France and the people and their traditions in France. So as you learn the language, your affinity to that culture, your ability to make sense of that culture goes up automatically. Likewise with Spanish and with German. And in fact, in order to learn many of the expressions, the context in which those expressions are used, you automatically learn a lot about the culture of the place.
Yes, sir.
English is slightly different. It's been around for so long, and it is not tied to just one region. Of course, it started in the United Kingdom. That's where English, in a sense, was born, maybe 400-500 years ago. But then it has traveled around the world for very long. There has been the whole American Revolution, where again, English is now the main language in the US. That English is slightly different from the one in UK. There is, of course, English being spoken widely in Canada, in Australia, in New Zealand. And apart from these countries, in all so many countries across the world. So with English, if it's your purpose to learn about a particular culture, perhaps let's say the culture in England or in Scotland, then obviously you need to immerse yourself more and more with specific texts, specific stories, or specific pieces of uh, learning which are related to that country. But often English at least is learned for the more general purpose of being spoken for work or in social settings. And there the importance of it for learning a culture may or may not be very high. But yeah, I mean, obviously the fact is that learning any language helps you communicate with more people than you were able to before you learned that language. And it automatically will open doors to
Yes.
more culture, to the ability to absorb, new cultures or new ways of thinking. So
Likewise,
it goes
likewise,
hand
sir,
in
you
hand.
said that the learning expression and contrast of their things, sir. When I was sir learning, I am studying Russian. मैंने देखा सर उनकी कल्चर और उनकी कॉन्ट्रास्ट उनके एक्सप्रेशंस मतलब लाइक वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड their contrast expression, how they express their words and stimulate with English. If we say that in English we use सर मैंने देखा सर रशियन में और इंग्लिश में एक मुझे फर्क दिखा लाइक we don't use sometimes we don't use grammar in Russian, and in English we use grammar in proper way.
I won't be able to comment on that. I haven't personally been to Russia, so I will take whatever you're saying as the truth. But I feel that grammar is something that is existing in any language, and there is no such thing as just one grammar. Different subsets of language can have slightly different use of grammar. Each of them is grammatical in their own context. So grammar is not just a set of rules which are arbitrary. They are in fact taken from how people speak. And then the way they speak, the way a native person speak is what defines grammar, what defines good or correct grammar. तो मैं तो नहीं समझता कि कोई बिना ग्रामर के असली में बात करता है. अगर ऐसा होता तो कोई एक दूसरे को समझ ही नहीं पा
So
सकता.
I'm
अगर
saying
समझ
that
रहे हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं कोई
it's
ग्रामर
about
है उसमें.
यस सर मैं ये कहना चाह रहा हूँ कि कहीं पे वो लोग ग्रामर यूज करते हैं ना, ऐसा नहीं कि बिना ग्रामर के कोई भी चीज बोली जाएगी. ऐसा तो है नहीं कि
जी
बिना ग्रामर के बोला जाएगा, चाहे वो हिंदी हो, चाहे इंग्लिश हो, चाहे कोई भी लैंग्वेज हो. बट इन सम वे दे यू डोंट यूज द ग्रामर. लाइक मैं कह रहा हूँ मैं घर जा रहा
देयर
हूँ,
आर वेरिएंट.
तो वो लोग घर जा रहा हूँ मैं या फिर मैं घर जा रहा हूँ, दोनों ऐसे बोल सकते हैं वो लोग. मतलब वो लोग में तो
तो
सर
ठीक है, that is more casual colloquial use of language. हम लोग भी हमेशा हिंदी को पूरी पूरी नहीं बोलते हैं. Harchal, we just say short sentences or short phrases, and that's part of the comfort that one gets when one is speaking a language. You don't have to be precise and literally say everything out. But very interesting observation. Clearly, Bilal, you've made some good observations, and we wish you well with your learning journey when you learn more languages. Mansi, are there other questions perhaps related to the topic at hand?
We have more requests to join, and actually thank you so much, Bilal, for joining our live, and all the best with your
thank you.
Russian and English language learning. Thank you so much. I have to leave.
Thank you, Bilal.
I'll take on another person, Vikram.
Definitely.
So this is Bani who's joining us. Bani, I've sent you. Oh, she's not able to join us. One second, let me try again. Okay, somehow not able to join in. Okay, so I'd request you, people who are watching, to send in more requests to join in. And so actually, yes, Vikram, what he asked was also maybe there is, just pressing on that. He said what Bilal was telling us, that grammar is not important. So at inlingua, just actually touching upon that, because everywhere people seem to be scared of grammar. And they think, oh, grammar nahi zarurat hai to learn the language. And when you said that, yes, grammar to ek tarah se foundation hai. It's like it's the leg of the table or the stool per se. So how is that? How do we tackle? Because at inlingua also, I think what is the way of teaching? Just can you tell people about it with grammar?
Yes, I think it's a very important point you've touched on, because in the popular perception, लोग ज़्यादातर ये सोचते हैं कि ग्रामर जब तक नहीं सीखेंगे तब हम लैंग्वेज नहीं सीख सकते. ये हमारे फ्रंट डेस्क पे भी ये क्वेश्चन बहुत पूछा जाता है कि आप ग्रामर सिखाते हैं? क्योंकि हमने अपने स्कूल में जो है बहुत ग्रामर करी है, रेन एंड मार्टिन पढ़ा है, या हिंदी में व्याकरण सारा पढ़ा है, तो हमें लगता है कि वो लैंग्वेज से बहुत जोरों से जुड़ा हुआ है. फैक्ट क्या है कि जैसे मैं आज हिंदी का, मेरी मदर टंग हिंदी है, आप कईयों की होगी। आपसे अगर कोई सवाल करे कि जी क्या आप हिंदी का व्याकरण जानते हैं, क्या आपको संधि विच्छेद वगैरह वगैरह पता है, फ्रैंकली मेरे को तो नहीं पता. आई हैव फॉरगॉटन व्हाट ऑल दैट मीन्स, बट दैट डजंट मीन आई स्पीक Hindi poorly. I do not make mistakes in Hindi. It is my mother tongue and I speak perfectly comfortably. It comes naturally. वो अपने आप से आता है बिना कोई ग्रामर को याद करे. तो असली में भाषा को अच्छे से बोलने के लिए जरूरी नहीं है कि आप एक एक चीज ग्रामर की जानें. जब तक आप अच्छे से सही ढंग से भाषा बोल रहे हैं, आपकी ग्रामर सही है. तो इन लिंग्वा में हमारा अप्रोच क्या रहता है कि हम आपको जबरदस्ती का ग्रामर ना सिखाएं. भूतपूर्व, संधि वगैरह वगैरह, उसके जो भी द इंग्लिश इक्विवेलेंट्स लाइक पास्ट टेंस, पास्ट प्रेजेंट, फ्यूचर, conjunctions, subject, verb, agreement, those are not really how we teach the language. Our focus is आप बोल कैसे रहे. Are you speaking comfortably? Are you speaking fluently? And it is by, in fact, we do exercises which are related to everyday language use. बोल कर आप sentences बना बनाकर सीखते हैं, और अगर उसमें कोई गलती है तो उस गलती को आप सुधारते हैं, ना कि ग्रामर को याद कर रहे हैं. और मजेदार बात क्या है कि आप जब इस तरीके से सीखते हैं तो आपके सेंटेंसेस सही निकलते हैं, आपका ग्रामर अपने आप सही हो जाता है, बिना ये जाने कि इसका टेक्निकल टर्म क्या है, कि ये कंजंक्शन है, कि सब्जेक्ट है, कि वर्ब है. तो थोड़ा सा प्रैक्टिकल अप्रोच है और फास्टर अप्रोच है, क्योंकि अल्टीमेटली जो ऑब्जेक्टिव है वो है कि आप अच्छे से अंग्रेजी बोल पाए, या जो भी लैंग्वेज आप सीखने आए वो अच्छे से बोल पाए. तो फोकस वहां होना चाहिए बनाए इसके कि वो ग्रामर पे जाए. क्योंकि ग्रामर को आप पढ़ पढ़ के, और जैसे हमने सबने व्याकरण सीखा था हिंदी का, भूल गए. संस्कृत हम लोगों ने सबने मतलब 9 तरह के उसमें वो टेंसेस और केसेस होते हैं, लेकिन उस समय तो 100% मार्क्स आ जाते हैं एग्जाम में, आप सब सीख सीख के पढ़ पढ़ के लिख देते हैं, लेकिन आज के दिन एक चीज भी याद नहीं. तो ऐसी चीजें करने का फायदा नहीं है जिसको कि बाद में कोई आप याद भी नहीं रख सकते. और प्रैक्टिकल चीज जो है वो सीखने से आपका लैंग्वेज का जो जर्नी है वो जल्दी से और बड़ी अच्छी तरीके से अकम्प्लिश होती है.
बिल्कुल विक्रम, एक्चुअली आप ठीक कह रहे हैं, बिकॉज डरा कर बड़े बड़े शब्दों से उनकी टर्मिनोलॉजी लर्न करके तो लैंग्वेज नहीं आती है. एंड एज यू सेड अर्लियर, प्रैक्टिस से ही आती है. एंड व्हिच इज लाइक इफ यू टॉक, इफ यू स्पीक इन इट, दैट्स हाउ इट हेल्प्स. सो या डेफिनेटली, एंड दैट्स द also uses. We do have one person sending out a request. I'm trying to add her, but she's not. Maybe she's gotten disconnected. I request others to send requests. If you want to join our live and ask Vikram the questions directly. So, guys, you can do that. And once you'll have to send a request, and I'll just accept it. So, Vikram, we have another question. एक पूछ रहे हैं एक learner. Actually, I think to an extent आप इसका जवाब दे चुके हैं, but I'll just still, because it's come. It says, मेरे बॉस, मैं जब बोलता हूँ इंग्लिश में तो उनको नहीं समझ आता. इनफैक्ट जब मैं ईमेल्स भी लिखता हूँ तो भी मेरी इंग्लिश बिल्कुल गड़बड़ होती है. इसकी वजह से मुझे प्रमोशन मुझे लगता है, tells me, but this is what I feel. So क्या बेटर इंग्लिश करने से मेरी तनख्वाह बढ़ जाएगी? क्या मुझे बेटर अपॉर्चुनिटीज मिल जाएंगी? Will that happen? What do you think about it?
I think it's absolutely correct, because making mistakes in writing emails or in making mistakes when conversing in a business setting, in a work setting, can be quite dangerous, because the sense that is being conveyed can become skewed. If you use him instead of her or his instead of her, the person who's reading the email may come to a different conclusion altogether. Even I face that, in work environments where an email is so difficult to make sense of, because you don't know whether this has already happened, is going to happen, because the tense has been used wrongly. So ultimately, speaking correctly or writing correctly has great value in clear communication, so that misunderstandings don't happen. So it is not just, the boss being unnecessarily harsh. Speaking well and writing well, let's say in English, if that is the language of that company, is an important skill for somebody working there. And it is very frustrating for managers, because they may like the person's work, they may like the person's other skill sets, but if their communication is not clear, and easy to understand, it'll create trouble. So whoever has asked the question, आप जरूर अपनी अंग्रेजी सुधारिए, and you will definitely benefit from it, because you will find that it becomes easier for not just your boss, but for everybody else whom you communicate with to understand you. And immediately, a lot of problems which happen because of misunderstandings will go away. So I think it's an absolutely no-brainer. आपको सीखना चाहिए.
So, Vikram, we do have other questions also. Thoda sa off the topic hai, but because it's a concern, I think I'll just
Sure.
read out. This,
Why not?
Surbhi is asking us, does using big words build confidence? If we want to learn the language, does it help? Is using big words using good language, better language?
My experience is different. I have traveled a lot as well. I meet inlingua international people in the inlingua international office as well, many of them in very high positions. And it is surprising, perhaps, but they actually use very small words, very small sentences also. In fact, the attempt always has to be to communicate well. The idea is not to impress with some big words. The idea should be, is my thought going across to the person clearly? Is that person able to understand that well? Am I making the right impression by way of conveying meaning? If that happens, then the rest falls into place. On the other hand, when one tries to use big words just to impress, very often, more often than not, you come across as ignorant, because sometimes those big words have different meanings than what you think they have, and they are inappropriate. And that will show you for being just somebody who's trying to show off rather than who really has any knowledge. And even if you do have the knowledge of these big words, you have to realize who your audience is. Does it make sense to use those words when the other person is unable to understand what they mean? So I personally believe that keeping your language simpler, using simpler, shorter words, but expressing it well, being able to craft your sentences to make sure that there is no confusion, that is way more important. Way more important.
Yeah, so totally. The idea is not to just kind of show off, but to get the message. Totally. So we have another one. Okay, this person is asking us, okay, it's more like can we learn English? What is better? Is learning English online better, or face-to-face classes better? What's a better way to learn English?
Yeah. So this is a very important question, I feel. There are so many ways in which one to English your English. But as I've said earlier, the focus should be in an environment where you are using, you're speaking and listening in an interactive way with each other, with some guidance, which allows you to get corrected and make sure you're not making mistakes, or if you are, you're alerted to those mistakes and you can improve yourself. Now, this environment, obviously, the perfect environment perhaps is a classroom with, say, 8 or 10 or 12 people, one instructor, and all the interactive ways that we teach, let's say, in a typical inlingua classroom. But the last 2 years have shown us that with COVID and with all these other restrictions, that is not always possible. Sometimes it's not possible for other reasons, because you're too far away. Maybe you are in a city where there is no good institute to go to. Now, the opportunity to be online and learn has opened up. But again, there are many ways of doing so. The best, in my opinion, are what are called virtual classrooms. So for instance, on platforms such as Google Meet or Zoom, or there are some others, perhaps WebEx and things like that, you can, or even Microsoft Teams, they all have video conference platforms where the instructor and every other student can join, and it's like it's almost like a classroom. The good part in those setups is that the instructor is able to actually guide you. You are able to interact with the other students in speaking and listening. Some things are more difficult, but overall, it is absolutely fine, and it is possible to learn well if you go online. It may take maybe 10% or 20% more time than in a regular classroom. But we have done so many virtual classrooms and the results are outstanding. People have learned, people have gone to better levels and joined again and again. So I think it's a great opportunity that has opened up because of these virtual platforms. However, online learning can also mean something which is not very interactive. It can be, for instance, listening to YouTube videos. Now that's very passive. You're just listening. You're not interactive. It's like listening to a lecture. And as I've said earlier, that is not a good way to learn. There are so many other online options where there is no instructor, where you just do some exercises on your own, perhaps on a website or on an app. Again, those are not going to help you much. They may help maintain the level you are at. They may be interesting for a little bit, but it's not going to help you improve, because ultimately that speaking and listening has to be with people, interactive with each other. And these apps and these other methods which are not instructor led don't have this aspect.
Yeah, Vikram. So that's right. The whole world is moving on to a hybrid model. So of course, everything has its own benefits and negatives. But of course,
Yeah.
please send in your questions, guys. You can come and join us and ask your questions directly. And you can also ask questions in Hindi. You can type in your questions in Hindi. Vikram will be more than happy to answer them. All right. So,
Absolutely.
okay. Any words of wisdom that you wanna, Vikram, tell the learners, or any you did tell them how to learn English, but like, since you said that you've traveled so much abroad, you must have seen Indians there as well. How do they interact? Are they comfortable? Or in some countries, because some Indians are very fluent, some are not. So how do you see? Does it make a difference to their confidence level? Do you see them? Even when they're settled there or they're traveling, have you noticed, something that's come to your mind you'd like to share?
See, one thing I've noticed is that almost anywhere you go in the world, they really marvel at how well Indians are able to speak in English. We don't realize it here because, we think that we don't speak English too well. Many of us think like that. But in reality, if you go all across the world, the way we in India, even those of us who think we don't speak well, fact is that we are way ahead of the way that others are speaking. It's a skill that has, in fact, we've learned in school for 12 years, all of us, as a subject. There is enough English in our environments, and even the ones who are not so confident are doing perhaps better in their English than, let's say, a typical Japanese or a Korean or maybe somebody in other parts of the world. And I think the only issue is that we lack that little confidence, and because in our schools we are never required to speak, all our exams are written exams. That part, the speaking and listening part, is weak for many of us. Not really weak, but simply out of shyness and hesitation. And I have seen I think you've seen as well as in the classroom as an instructor, that how when a new student joins, within the very first few hours, it's suddenly as if a lion has been uncaged and all the language comes out, because they lose that shyness. Their knowledge is there, but it's just that they haven't had the opportunity to speak and to hear themselves speak, literally. And once they get that opportunity in a safe environment, in a classroom, with the guidance of an instructor, they just blossom and really they go very far. That improvement is not only because of what we are teaching, it's because they have unshackled their own shyness and they have come out of their shell and now they are ready to speak. So I think Indians have a huge opportunity in the world if they speak, if they just get that one level of confidence that will put them much ahead of many other nationalities on the world stage. That is my impression.
That's right. Actually, you're right, Vikram. In fact, the first thing that the students come and tell us is that, they're hesitant. They know it, but they're not able to. They're hesitant. So yes, when you said that the lion has been uncaged, it's totally, it's bang on. And At times they also say they know the language, they kind of know the rules because that's what we learn in school, but they're not able to, they don't have the environment. So which is where, when you said, practice and you need to actually have a live environment, a live interaction, yes, that really helps.
Yeah.
So we don't have any video requests. However, uh, there is this question that keeps coming up, saying will learning English also help me to sharpen my brain? Maybe it's to do with language learning, or but what do you think? Would it help? I mean, if you're learning a new language or English per se.
Yeah, I think brain research has shown that in order to keep the brain active and not to let the gray cells die, it needs stimulation, it needs exercise, just like any other muscle. When we, if we don't use it, we lose it. Similarly, if you don't use the brain, its capacity to function goes down. And learning a language stimulates the brain because it involves speaking, listening, new connections, new words, new thoughts as well. So the brain becomes activated, and it's a known fact that children who are born in bilingual families who learn two languages from birth, have almost an advantage in IQ because their conceptual abilities, their abilities to think gets honed in a very special way. So clearly, learning a new language is a gift to yourself because it will keep your brain alive. And you can learn a new language at literally any age. We've had 70-year-olds learning a new language. Anything, maybe just for a hobby, maybe because you're interested in cooking, and French is so often used. Terms from French are so often used in cooking or in fashion, or perhaps you want to enjoy uh, your Netflix watching a lot more, and you want to enjoy the Spanish serials, and you just learn a smattering of Spanish. So there are various, I think, ways in which one can benefit from this fact that learning languages, does a whole lot of good to your brain. It's brain food, it's brain exercise, quite honestly.
That's true. What you said, actually, a lot of points to take from there. One more thing, Vikram, another question that comes up is that, so how long do I need to learn English? And if I don't use it for some time, will I lose it, or will I stay at that same level? So, how would you like?
Yeah. So I think the biggest gains come from the very first course that you do. Let's say in our case, at inlingua, we have courses of about 45 to 50 hours, and each of them is approximately equal to half a level on our language ladder. And the first and most important level is the one that you start with, because that immediately releases that shyness and you come out of your shell and you see a lot of gains. Thereafter, if you do one more half level, in other words, if you go to one full level higher than where you began, you really need perhaps not more than that in the present circumstances that you're in, because that is a huge jump. It sounds just like one level. What is one level? I need to be level 5. You really don't. In a comparative sense, making that transition does wonders to your social life, to your confidence, to your employability, and I think thereafter it should be pegged to the needs you have. Just unnecessarily learning something which you're not going to use has this problem that you will lose it. However, one thing to note is that when you learn the way where you actually speak and listen and do it actively, where you practice these skills, there is something which happens in your long-term memory too. And this knowledge, unlike information, let's say if you learn passages of history, 2 years later you would have forgotten everything. But if you learn a language, you may think you've forgotten it, but it's embedded somewhere in your brain. And when the time comes to start using it again, those neural networks which are formed because of learning a language, because of speaking and listening in the language, come back alive. They get like, it's like a memory that becomes alive again. And it suddenly, all of that starts coming back to you, which is why we say it's a lifelong skill. I'm not saying that you will remember perfectly everything, but 80% of what you've learned will be always with you and will come to your rescue at the appropriate time. And I personally experienced that. I did German at level 1A and then 1B. and even up to level 2A. But and I would use it often when I was traveling to Switzerland and Germany. And then for a while, my travels were not happening, and I wasn't using it. And I thought, oh, I've forgotten everything. But the next time I traveled, within a few minutes, as the conversations happened, as I heard German being spoken, as I was asked questions and I had to answer, soon that all came back to me. So it isn't all lost. Yes, it becomes a little rusty, but like silver that you can polish it again, and you're back as good as new.
Thank you for answering that, Vikram. Yes, of course. I mean, there's something like the muscle memory, and you said the brain, it just gets stored there. Fantastic. So, guys, put in your questions. We're going to, wrap up the live pretty soon. So, if you have any questions, if you want to join us, that'll be great. We do have a question here. I'll read it out, but I think part of it has already been answered. It says, English opens up many gates, and going through these changes our lives. Comment. So yes, I think you have answered that, but if you want to add.
I think that's what we've been talking about, that in our country today, in the world today, because of the fact that English is the link language for any kind of job, it opens many doors for you as you go up the language ladder. And side by side, it opens doors for you on the social side, whether it's with colleagues, whether it's with friends, whether it's with people abroad. So yes, English is clearly the key to a lot of doors, many doors. It's the universal key. It's the only key you need in a lot of places.
Definitely, I think that's right. That's actually true. So a lot of questions regarding courses, fees. So all of you, please DM us, and we'll be more than happy. Our customer service will get in touch with you. So for the fees and the courses, because we have courses starting every week. So just for the details, do that. Drop in your number, and we'll be more than happy to assist you there. So Vikram, with that, thank you so much.
Yeah, I would request the students who wish to know more to actually follow the inlingua New Delhi Instagram account. We keep posting interesting, informative things from time to time. And as and when you need more information, you can just direct message us, just drop us a message, or even leave a comment in a post, and our customer team will immediately answer it. And if you leave a number, we'll contact you. And yes, you can also start your journey when it comes to learning a language within Lingua.
And thank you so much for answering all the questions. And I hope, I'm sure many people have benefited and will be motivated. And, the initial hesitation that they have, they will get over that. So thank you so much for joining, and have a great, great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mansi, for hosting this session. You're a wonderful host. Thank you for having me. Thank you, everybody, for those who asked questions. I hope I was able to satisfy some of those questions. I know पूछने को बहुत कुछ है, सब कुछ हम नहीं पूछ पाए, सब कुछ बात नहीं हो पाई, लेकिन ये conversation जारी रहेगी. I hope we'll have other occasions when we can have a similar.